Hello, and welcome back to this module. We shall be starting continual improvement in ITIL Service Value System. Continual improvement takes place in all areas of the organization and at all levels, from strategic to operational. To maximize the effectiveness of services, each person who contributes to the provision of a service should keep continual improvement in mind and should always be looking for opportunities to improve. The continual improvement model applies to the SVS in its entirety, as well as to all the organization's products, services, service components, and relationships. To support continual improvement at all levels, the ITIL SVS includes the ITIL Continual Improvement Model, which provides organizations with a structured approach to implementing improvements. The Improved Service Value Chain activity, which embeds continual improvement into the value chain. And the continual improvement practice supporting organizations in their day-to-day improvement efforts. The ITIL Continual Improvement Model can be used as a high-level guide to support improvement initiatives. Use of the model increases the likelihood that ITSM initiatives will be successful, puts a strong focus on customer value, and ensures that improvement efforts can be linked back to the organization's vision. The model supports an iterative approach to improvement, dividing work into manageable pieces with separate goals that can be achieved incrementally. Figure 4.3 provides a high-level overview of the ITIL Continual Improvement Model. It should be recognized that this model can serve as a workflow, but it can also be used simply as a high-level reminder of a sound thought process to ensure improvements are properly managed. The flow seeks to ensure that improvements are linked to the organization's goals and properly prioritized, and that improvement actions produce sustainable results. Next, we shall discuss the steps of the Continual Improvement Model. Step 1. What is the vision? This step focuses on two key areas. The organization's vision and objectives need to be translated for the specific business unit, department, team, and/or individual, so that the context objectives and boundaries for any improvement initiative are understood. A high-level vision for the planned improvement needs to be created. The work within this step should ensure that the high-level direction has been understood. The planned improvement initiative is described and understood in that context. The stakeholders and their roles have been understood. The expected value to be realized is understood and agreed. And the role of the person or team responsible for carrying out the improvement is clear in relation to achieving the organization's vision. If this step is skipped, improvements might only be optimized for the people or teams involved rather than the whole organization, or non-value-adding activities might become the sole focus of improvements. Step 2. Where are we now? A key element in this step is a current state assessment. This is an assessment of existing services, including the user's perception of value received, people's competencies and skills, the processes and procedures involved, and/or the capabilities of the available technological solutions. The organization's culture, i.e., the prevailing values and attitudes across all stakeholder groups, also needs to be understood to decide what level of organizational change management is required. Current state assessments should be done through objective measurement whenever possible. This will allow for an accurate understanding of the issues associated with the current state and, once the initiative is implemented, enable proper measurement of the level of improvement achieved by comparison with the initial state. If this step is skipped, the current state will not be understood and there will not be an objective baseline measurement. It will therefore be difficult to track and measure the effectiveness of the improvement activities, and the new state cannot be compared with a previous state at a later point. Step 3. Where do we want to be? Based on the results of the first two steps, a gap analysis can be performed which evaluates the scope and nature of the distance to be traveled from the starting point to the achievement of the initiative's vision. It is important to note that the initial vision of the initiative is aspirational and may never be achieved in full. Improvement is the goal, not perfection. This step should define one or more prioritized actions along the way to completing the vision for the improvement, based on what is known as the starting point. Improvement opportunities can be identified and prioritized based on the gap analysis, and the improvement objectives can be set, along with the critical success factors, or CSFs, and key performance indicators, or KPIs. The agreed objectives, CSFs, and KPIs need to follow what is known as the SMART principle. They should be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. It is much easier to define the route of the improvement journey if the exact destination is known. It is important to note that the target state represents progress towards the vision, not the achievement of the entire vision. If this step is skipped, the target state will remain unclear. Step 4. How do we get there? Now that the start and end points of the improvement journey have been defined, a specific route can be agreed. Based on the understanding of the vision of the improvement and the current and target states, and combining that knowledge with subject matter expertise, a plan for addressing the challenges of the initiative can be created. It is most effective to carry out the work in a series of iterations, each of which will move the improvement forward part of the way. With each iteration, there is an opportunity to check progress, re-evaluate the approach, and change direction if appropriate. If this step is skipped, the execution of the improvement is likely to flounder and fail to achieve what is required of it. Failed improvements erode confidence and can make it difficult to get support for future improvements. Step 5. Take action. During the improvement, there needs to be a continual focus on measuring progress towards the overall vision and managing risks, as well as ensuring visibility and overall awareness of the initiative. ITIL practices, such as organizational change management in Section 5.1.6, measurement and reporting in Section 5.1.5, risk management, Section 5.1.10, and, of course, continual improvement, Section 5.1.2, are important factors in achieving success in this step. Step 6. Did we get there? This step involves checking the destination of the journey to be sure that the desired point has been reached. For each iteration of the improvement initiative, both the progress, have the original objectives been achieved, and the value, are those objectives still relevant, need to be checked and confirmed. If the desired result has not been achieved, additional actions to complete the work are selected and undertaken, commonly resulting in a new iteration. If this step is skipped, it is hard to be sure whether the desired or promised outcomes were actually achieved, and any lessons from this iteration which would support the course correction if needed will be lost. Step 7. How do we keep the momentum going? The organizational change management and knowledge management practices should be used to embed the change in the organization and ensure that the improvements and changed behaviors are not at risk of reversion. Leaders and managers should help their teams to truly integrate new work methods into their daily work and institutionalize new behaviors. If the expected results of the improvement were not achieved, stakeholders need to be informed of the reasons for the failure of the initiative. This requires a thorough analysis of the improvement, documenting and communicating the lessons learned. This should include a description of what can be done differently in the next iteration based on the experience gathered. Transparency is important for future efforts, regardless of the results of the current iteration. If this step is skipped, it is likely that improvements will remain isolated and independent initiatives, and any progress made may be lost over time. With this, we've reached the end of this module. In the next module, we shall continue our discussion on continuous improvement. Keep learning ITIL. Goodbye.